Okay, y'all, so this is Dr. Tasha coming at you again, and this is not some kind of ploy to get you to follow my YouTube or anything like that. You know, for the Instagram, you can only do a 1-minute video, or whatever the case may be. So, and I'm literally fresh out the house from work, so forgive me, I'm not all glammed up and popping. It is what it is, okay? But I want to get this information to you guys. And I hope that younger people are listening so that you can take heed and take some pointers for yourself, okay? And I hope that some parents are listening because your children sometimes look to you for, especially if we're like first generation. Like I was first generation college student. You know, my mom went to like a 2-year school, but she didn't go all in, and she just really didn't understand to the level of education or training that I was aspiring to, and she really did not know how to per se help me or guide me. And so I had to learn a lot of this on my own, a lot of it through trial and error, and I'll explain what that means. And a lot of it just, you know, hustling, just trying to figure out what's the easiest way, what's the best way, what's the most effective way, because there is no easy way. Let me rephrase that. So let's just get into it. So a couple of things. The first thing that I want to express to my young people and even my parents is that social media is so important for the good and for the bad. When you have a high school or even college student, it's high school too though. When you have a high school or college student and you're like, oh, it's just their Instagram, they're just having fun, they're just kids. Okay, well, you do realize that employers, and forgive me, you might hear my dog bark in the background, forgive me. But you have to realize that employers, universities, graduate schools, medical schools, you guys do realize they have trolls that surf the internet looking for things like that. Instagram pages and things like that. Not only do they look at your pictures, they look at your followers and who you're following. So my grandma once said, show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. Okay, well, this is a perfect example of that. So I had a little girl in the office today, not a little girl, excuse me, a young lady in the office today, and she was a whatever major from Spelman. And we were talking back and forth, and she said, well, I want to do a year before I go to grad school. I said, why? Just out of curiosity. Well, isn't it better to have a year business under your belt before you go to grad school? I said, why? And she couldn't answer me. She said, well, somebody said, who said what? Like, what? Where are you getting this information from? I said, show me. I said, why would you? I said, so you are applying to graduate school. So I said, show me your Instagram page. And although her Instagram page wasn't awful, it was pictures of herself, pictures of her friends, pictures in swimsuits, pictures at parties. And I said, do you know what this page says to me? She said, no, what does it say? I said, it says you're a party girl. I said, we have the Me Too movement. Why don't I see anything about your page? We just had a high school walkout for gun prevention. Why don't I see any of that on your page? Where are the political statements on your page? Where are the things that show your depth? Where are that? This shows that you're vain and you like to party. I said, before I hire people, do you know I look at their Instagram or their Facebook or whatever it is I can find? I look for your followers. I look for who you're following. And then that decides whether you get an interview or not, because it speaks to your frame of mind. So the first thing is that high school students, parents, all that, if you guys, your kids, you want to have an Instagram page where you do what you want to do, because I also have a private Instagram page where I have to okay whether I'll allow you on the page. And it's not that I'm hiding anything, is there are some things that I say that I don't want my patients to see. I don't want administrators or hospitals to see. I don't want other providers to see. Those are my private thoughts that may be fun or funny, or, you know, somebody may be offended, whatever, but they're my private thoughts. So I decide who sees that. I have a private page, but I have multiple professional pages, and that's something that you all should look into for your children. Private page or yourselves, private pages, so that you, your family, your friends can all indulge and have a good time. But then business pages so that people can see who you are, see what you do. So one page is for who you are, and another page is for what you do, what you think, what is important to you. Okay, so that's the first thing, and that's how you manage and handle social media in a professional setting. The next important thing that I'm going to get to is please, 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 for all of you guys who are in high school and all of you guys who are in college, research what you're interested in. Don't sit and let a counselor tell you this is the best path to where you're going, because they could be wrong. That's your whole future, okay? First thing, I have so many students, so many people who are pre-med, hashtag pre-med, who come at me and say, hey, can you tell me, give me some pointers on this, or can I shadow you at your office? First of all, no. If you haven't been to medical school, you can't shadow me in my office. You're not going to get the true benefit of what I'm doing, and patients are not science projects. You're not just going to stare at a patient, stare at their body, stare at what I'm examining when you truly don't have an understanding of it, because you don't understand the anatomy, you don't understand the physiology. So don't even ask me if you haven't been to medical school. So the answer is no. Residents, absolutely. Medical students, absolutely. College students who are pre-med, no. Now let's talk about that. So first of all, research. Figure out what school do you want to go to? What is their requirement? Can you find a mentor who's alumni at that school? How can it work for you? How can you make things work for you? They should always be most important, okay? What does that mean? Now, let me speak a little bit to what I'm noticing is happening to a lot of African-American students when it comes time to get into medical school or apply to medical school. So what's happening, and I'm not sure who these counselors are, reach out, say what you want to say. I'd love to have a conversation with you and exactly why you are guiding these kids in the direction you're guiding. Well, I know why, but I love to have a conversation. So reach out if you are a college counselor, please. But the point is that I see so many students that say, I'm pre-med. Why? That's my first question. Why? And then they look like so surprised. I'm like, pre-med is no more than biology major, and they say they're setting you up for medical school. Well, there's no biology in medical school, not a lick of it, so get past that. The anatomy that you learn probably is going to take you through a 2-hour anatomy class. The anatomy that you learn in 4 hours of undergrad, it's about 2 hours of med school, so get that out of your mind, okay? I think that what happens is they convince these students to go pre-med, okay, which is a science-based background. Now, I was a chemistry major at Drexel University. Shout out to DU. But it's because I truly loved and enjoyed chemistry. I believed in myself, and I knew that I could achieve a very, very high grade point average, which I did. And so it didn't work against me. But that's not everybody, and that's not something that I would recommend for everybody. So what they do is they recommend that you get into pre-med. So they throw you in, they make you a biology major, you take all these science courses and this and this and this, and you have a huge course load. And so when it's all said and done, your grade point average is a 3.3, 3.25. You're not getting into medical school, but I don't care what you do, you're just not, point blank period, okay? Now, there are some exceptions to that. Let's continue to talk. So for whatever reason, these counselors are saying, do your MCAT in your 4th year. Well, no. You do your medical school applications in your 4th year. You should have an acceptance by the time before you are, right around spring of 4th year is when acceptances are done for med school. So why are they telling you to take your MCAT in the 4th year? Take your MCAT in your, because they're going to take the cumulative, at least from what I remember, the cumulative or the best. So you should be preparing for your MCAT in your 2nd year, the end of your 2nd year, your 3rd year. I would say take it 2, possibly 3 times so you can get the best possible grade. It is worth spending the money to take an MCAT review course so you can learn how to think, so you can understand how they format the questions, so you can understand they give you a bunch of mock exams. That is what you need to be doing. The other students who get into med school, do you know what they do? They major in English. They major in something that's going to be easy, Greek history. They major in, philosophy. No disrespect to any of these majors. I know everybody works very hard in undergrad, so please don't take it as being disrespectful. But what I'm saying is some majors are way more rigorous than others. So what the others are doing are majoring in easy majors, and in order to meet the requirement for med school, they have a list of classes that you have to take, and I want to say it's like 4 or 5 science classes, 4 or 5 math classes, okay, maybe 10 classes altogether. They look at the GPA on those classes, they look at your overall GPA, and then they look at your MCAT score. So you're shooting yourself in the foot with the overall GPA. You've been spending so much time trying to get out and graduate with good grades. You haven't spent any time preparing for the MCAT. So when you take it, you're so ill prepared for it, you don't do great on that. So now you don't have a great grade point average. You're taking the MCAT and you're taking it late. So what they're funneling you into is the school's master's program. So they say, oh, well, you're going to have a year off because you have to apply during this year. So you're going to have a year off, so you might as well spend that 1 year in our master's program. So you think, oh, that's a pretty good idea. At least I'm getting more education. You know, the med school sees that I'm not just doing anything. Well, what they see is you as a weak candidate. So you have a poor grade point average. You have mediocre to poor MCATs. You're spending a year in a master's program, which they figure you're doing to make you look like a stronger candidate academically. And then you want to walk up to the med school where there's 10,000 people applying for 250 seats. Really? This is why I say we're set up for failure. So major in your English, major in your African American studies, do something you enjoy, but at the end of the day, do something that's attainable for you to get over a 3.7 grade point average. And all of this requires hard work. I don't care what your major is, okay? So work hard and then take the classes that are required for your particular med school, okay? Find somebody in your city who is alumni at the school that you're interested in going and find them. Say, hey, listen, can I shadow you? Can I work in your office? Can I work the front desk? Can I be the filer? Don't think anything is beneath you, because what you get a chance to show people is your work ethic. And so then people are looking when you don't realize they are looking. I have a high school girl in my office right now, smart girl, smart, but she doesn't come. She's supposed to come every day. We know she's supposed to come every day. She comes about 2, maybe 3 times a week. We just don't say anything to her. So the thing is that she thinks she's getting over. Well, what she did is, because she has a poor work ethic, despite the fact that she's smart, she aced herself out of a job come summer. So people are watching when you don't realize they're watching. When you come and you file the crap out of whatever needs to be filed, and you're there and you're diligent, is there anything else I can help you with? Is there anything else? People notice that. So when you sit and have conversation and say, well, I'm applying to this medical school and blah, 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 that doctor who is going to basically probably hadn't paid you too much attention is going to go on the word of his office manager or the people who have worked with you and say, no, she's good, she's really smart, she's here, she's on it, she's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And if that person, if he likes you or whatever the case may be, she likes you or she gets a good vibe or whatever the case may be, then that's your recommendation. And you can even say, hey, I'm applying to this medical school. Can you write me a recommendation? Can I shadow you? Can I do whatever I need to do so that you will feel confident in writing? You will be graceful enough or gracious enough to write me a recommendation and feel confident enough in doing it. And they'll respect that. And so therefore now, and you don't know what their position may be. That happened to me in getting into med school. And I was just like, hey, listen, I want to shadow you. You know, I want to go to this particular school. I know you went to this particular school. Can I shadow you? Can I learn from you? Can I understand the philosophy from you? Blah, 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 blah. And I did that for about 2 or 3 months. And when it came time for the applications, he said, did you do your application yet? I said, yeah, did my application. He said, okay. I said, I'd asked him for a recommendation. He gave me the recommendation. So he just stayed on me for some reason, and I didn't get it. He said, I didn't realize how important he was at the school, how important alumni he was. So he said, did you do your application? I said, yes. And so he said, okay, I want you to go and meet somebody with me. It was one of his mentors. And so she got me in a room, and baby, if I was a weak person, she would have broke me down, but I stood my ground and I stood in my truth and I told my truth. And she made a phone call, and the person she called was the dean of admissions. And she said, have we come across this application? And she said, how does it look? And so if there was anything I would have told her that was not true, it would have came up right then. And she said, it's a strong application. She said, okay, are we interviewing? She said, absolutely. She said, oh, okay, all right, good. And she hung up. And so the lady called her right back and said, do you know this young lady? She said, very well. And she said, okay, good. That was all she needed to say. So at the end of the day, my hard work, because I didn't know who he was, I didn't know who he knew. My thing was that I want you to get to know me. Okay, so at the end of the day, please with the pre-med stuff, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to discredit any pre-med program. I'm sure there are some students who come out of pre-med and do go directly into medical school. But just please find an attainable major that you're going to do well in. Second part of that is find the courses that you need for med school and rock those out, okay? You have to rock. You can't get straight B's in those classes and then be like, oh, well, you know, what's the problem? My baby get A's and B's. Well, no. Med school is for people who are in the upper 95th percentile, 95 and up. That's who they're looking for. And there are always exceptions to the rules. Sorry about that. You know, that is who's going to stand out. Those are the people who are going to go to the top of the line and get the interviews that they're looking for, okay? So stop with the biology major because, yeah, I'm sorry, no disrespect to any of you want to be a biology teacher, great. But if that's what you're doing specifically to get into med school, you're not doing yourself any favors, okay? I will be more than happy. I'm trying to set it up with my PR person so I can kind of go and speak with people in smaller bubbles so that I can give them the information that they need. And as far as medical schools go and different types of advice that I can give, because, you know, I want to see black doctors, I want to see white doctors, purple doctors, green doctors. I don't care. It is a dying field. It is hard. People want the title. People don't want to care about the patients. People don't want to think about, you know, the fact that you're a person and you're somebody's mother and you're somebody's daughter and, you know, not making you wait 25 and 35 and 50 minutes and an hour for pain medicine. And it is a dying field where, you know, we just have people out here who are wanting the title and the money. Ain't that much money in it these days, but who want the title and the money, and they don't really have the desire. And there's so many people out there who have the desire and the drive, and they have followed somebody else's recommendations and they landed flat on their face and not in med school. So, you know, are there exceptions to rules? There are definitely exceptions to rules. I'm just speaking generally. I'm just speaking what I see, and I'm just speaking how most of those, not all, how most of those students end up. So I hope this helps somebody. I hope this bless somebody. So first of all, whatever you're interested in, research it, investigate it. Stop waiting for people to hand you information. Go out and get it. Nothing is handed to anybody. You know, people see my cars and they see bags and shoes and this and that, and people come into my practice and they're like, oh, you look so young, as if somebody handed me something. No, when I grinded and I hadn't slept for 4 days and I was up and I was crying and my friends were riding around in Audis and they were having the good times, like I missed all of my 20s. Okay, but at the end of the day, it was worth it. It was earned. It was not given to me. So the question is, when do you start working? Do you start working when you're young and you put the work in, or do you start working on the back end? Because do you party all when you're young, and do you put the work in when you're in your 30s and your 40s, trying to get a degree, working 3 jobs, trying to take it, like, you know, and shout out to the people who do that, because that is hard when you have been out of it and you get back into it. So I'm trying to help as many people as I can. You know, they say when you succeed, you reach back and you grab as many people as you can. And I am trying my darndest. So please, 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 if you guys want some more information, please list it on the YouTube so that my team can see that this is something that you guys really want to hear about and want to know and understand about. We'll set something up, either further YouTube videos, or we'll set an event or something so that you guys can get the answers that you need, so that you and your children can succeed, make the most out of your time, and make the most out of your money. So I hope this video really did bless somebody today. And I just hope that we all take heed and not fall into these traps of getting us into the programs that they want us to be in versus the programs that we aspire and desire to be in. So please, everybody, have a good evening. I'm going to take a shower and get into bed. It has been an extremely rough weekend, but I love my fam bam. I had to make sure I got it out while it was on my heart and while it was on my spirit. So everybody have a good evening, okay? All right.